Welcome to the Teapot Reads. My name's Sam. I'm the Teapot. This is what I'm currently reading, and I'm so happy to see you today. Hello and welcome back to my channel. So it's kind of propitious that this is what I'm currently reading, because today I'm going through all the Japanese literature that I own. You're probably like, why? Like, why does this matter? This year and for the next couple years, actually, I really want to read more Japanese literature. I'm just interested. It's just a curiosity. I don't read a lot of foreign literature. I mean, I do. I read a lot of British stuff. But mostly I read English language books, and when I'm not, it's like still Western literature. I think the only exception to it so far has really been Anna Karenina, which is Russian, which is not quite Western, but also isn't quite something. I think Russian literature is like a beast all its own. Like, they're very different from other novels. But I just really want to try to branch out my reading, and my goal kind of through 2025 is to really branch out with Japanese literature. I have been reading a lot of manga recently, and I'm really enjoying that. I'm not including it on this list. But novels are where my heart is, so that's kind of how I'm trying to branch out. Right now I only have novels. I would like to start adding nonfiction as well, particularly like about, not necessarily like historical, but almost cultural aspects of Japan, like, or sociological maybe is what I'm trying to say. But I'm reading a Murakami right now, and there are a lot of things where I'm like, I get it, but I also know there's more context here that I don't understand and that I don't get, and so I would like to read something that helps me understand those kind of contexts. Obviously, reading a lot of books from the same period or about the same thing will help me understand those contexts, but until then, like until I get a lot deeper, I would like to pick up some nonfiction at some point. So if you do have recommendations of Japanese nonfiction, either historical, sociological, or even just essays, like just nonfiction in general, let me know. I am classifying Japanese literature as books that were written originally in Japanese and intended originally for a Japanese audience. So I do have books by Japanese authors on my shelves that were written originally in English. I have several, quite a few. I'm not including them here. I'm not saying that they're like not worth anything or even not worth anything as Japanese books, but I really wanted to focus on books where the intended audience was a Japanese speaking audience, and an audience who will understand every context here. That's what I've got. That's what this pile is. Not to say that some of these authors didn't intend for their works to be read by the wider world, but like their demographic was not me. So we're just going to go through it. We're just going to talk about it. I think I have only read the one. He just dropped his toy. I'm only in the middle of reading one, so the rest of these are all fair game for TBRs and to be read. I would like to read several of these this year, and I'm sure at some point I'll pick up others this year. We're just going to get into it, and we're going through it alphabetically because I didn't know how else to do it. So, first of all, we have Snow Country by Yasunari Kawabata. This was translated by Edward G. Seidensticker. A very short book. Hold on, Tank is making a bad decision. Tank! He's trying to like crawl over the back of the couch, even though he can like jump down and walk behind the couch. So Snow Country, very short. This is gonna be such a nice, easy read. I hopefully actually do want to get to this while it's snowy out. So either January or February. Well, January's almost over, it's the 31st. So February, maybe even March. This one is pretty popular. I've seen it on so many people's Instagrams and on several different YouTube videos. So I'm just going to read you the back. I'm going to read you the back of most of these, if not all of them, because I feel like those will probably be the best descriptors of them. Shimamura is tired of the bustling city. He takes the train through the snow to the mountains of the west coast of Japan to meet with a geisha he believes he loves. Beautiful and innocent, Kamako is tightly bound by the rules of a rural geisha and lives of a and lives a life of servitude and seclusion that is alien to Shimamura. Their love offers no freedom to either of them. I believe that Kawabata has quite a few novels, so if I like this, I'll have a lot to dive into. Yes. Then, and I have the complete Penguin Vintage Japan collection, which was the first thing I bought when I was like, yeah, I want to read Japanese literature. So you can see all of those on here. But alphabetically, we have Out by Natsu Kirino, translated by Stephen Snyder. This is a chunky one. Chunky. In the Tokyo suburbs, 4 women work the graveyard shift at a factory. Burdened with heavy debts, alienated from husbands and children, they all secretly dream of a way out. A young mother among them finally cracks and strangles her philandering, gambling husband. She confesses her crime to her colleagues and, unexpectedly, they agree to help. But then the dismembered body parts are discovered. The police start asking questions and more dangerous enemies begin to close in. I'm not a huge, psychological fan, but I am curious about this because I do... What's that, Lady Gaga sound that's been trending every once in a while on TikTok where it's I don't consider myself a particularly ethical person. Something. I feel like it's about women. Anyway, I'll see if I can find it and put it in here. I don't know. Women taking revenge on husbands that are no good. I'm kind of okay with. Yes, that's Out. This is chunky. I don't know if it has chapter... Oh, it looks like it does. Let's see. Let's say it doesn't look like it has chapter breaks, but it looks like it has large sections with smaller chapters within. This is also, I think, one of 2 authors on here. No, 3. Only one of 3 authors on here that's a woman. I don't have a lot of female Japanese writers. That's something I have a list of books I want to pick up. I want to read a couple more before I pick any up, but I do have quite a few that I have written down that I'm yes, I'll try her because more women. Then we have also part of the Penguin Vintage section. We have The Sailor Who Fell from Grace from the Sea by Yukio Mishima. Also very short. This is one that I'm not super excited for. I think this one and maybe Naomi are probably the bottom 2 that I'm least excited for. I'm still interested and still excited to some degree, but I just have a feeling I'm not gonna love it. But I still feel because it's such an important text, it's one of those that just everyone refers to when they're talking about Japanese literature, I have to read it. So, a band of savage 13-year-old boys reject the adult world as illusory, hypocritical, and sentimental, and train themselves in a brutal callousness they call objectivity. When the mother of one of them begins an affair with the ship's officer, the boy and his friends idolize the man at first, but it is not long before they conclude that he is in fact soft and romantic. They regard this disillusionment as an act of betrayal, and the retribution is deliberate and horrifying. That doesn't sound like anything I would typically read if it weren't such a important piece of text. I just do not love stories about young boys being wild or violent or acting like adults, I guess. Is that weird to say? I guess I'm just comparing it to Lord of the Flies and Stephen King. I feel he's always writing stuff like this. So, interested, curious, less excited about this than a lot of other books on this list. I did also buy it to work on completing that collection because I love complete collections. Spring Snow, also by Yukio Mishima. I talked about this in a recent book haul. This one I'm actually very excited to get. It's the first in a trilogy. So it says Yukio Mishima's Spring Snow is the first novel in the, tetralogy, not trilogy, 4 books. The Sea of Fertility. Here we meet Shigakuni Honda, who narrates the epic tale of what he believes are the successive reincarnations of his childhood friend, Kyoki Matsuge. So this is the first one in that tetralogy, and I just love the idea. It sounds really good. It sounds like it's going to be interesting. Definitely of the Mishima I have, I will probably start with this one. Anyway, of the Mishima, this is the one I'm more interested in reading and will probably pick up first unless I need a short book. Tank, what are you doing? Oh, this one, I didn't say who they were translated by. So this one is translated by Michael Gallagher. And this one is translated by John Nathan. So far, all male translators, I believe. All right, my Murakami books. Definitely expect to see a lot of these as the year progresses. So Norwegian Wood, this is obviously what I'm reading right now. I'm really enjoying it. There will be a vlog for reading this and the next Murakami that I'm going to show you. This is one of his probably most well-known. There's one, Kafka on the Shore, Wind Up Bird Chronicle, and is it 1Q or Q-teen 84? 1Q84 or Q-teen 84? I do not know. That one though. Norwegian Wood. When he hears her favorite Beatles song, Toru Watanabe recalls his first love, Naoko, the girlfriend of his best friend Kazuki. Immediately, he's transported back almost 20 years to his student days in Tokyo, adrift in a world of uneasy friendships, casual sex, passion, loss, and desire, to a time when an impetuous young woman called Midori marched into his life and he had to choose between the future and the past. Like I said, currently reading it, really enjoying it. I'm enjoying it more than I thought I would. It is not at all the book I thought it would be, but it is, the writing is just like so easy and just enjoyable. So yes, we'll definitely have a vlog up for this. As well as Colorless, Sakurazaki and his years of pilgrimage. Hold on, translator for this one, J. Rubin, and the translator for this one, Philip Gabriel. So this one I've heard, more people have read and talk about Norwegian Wood, but I feel like suddenly out of nowhere, I started seeing so many just positive reviews for this and so many people putting this at the top of their Murakami lists. I have actually had this since it came out in paperback pretty much. Because I was like, yeah, I want to read more Murakami because I've read some of his short stories. And then I just kept putting it off. But I bought this one. So, Colorless, Sakurazaki and his years of pilgrimage is the remarkable story of a young man haunted by a great loss, of dreams and nightmares that have unintended consequences for the world around us, and of a journey into the past that is necessary to mend the present. I believe it's like all of his friends have colors in their names, and then he doesn't, and then someone, or they like ostracize him at a certain point, and then years later someone comes into his life and like, let's figure out what happened. I'm so excited for this one. I'm reading that next, so I'll be in the vlog with Norwegian Wood. And then the final Murakami that I have, and to be honest, I'm probably not going to read this edition, is the Wind Up Bird Chronicle. This is translated by J. Rubin, again. So many people say this is one of their favorite books of all time, so I'm a little daunted by it. The description. Toru Okada's cat has disappeared. His wife is growing distant every day. Then there are the increasingly explicit telephone calls he has been receiving. As this compelling story unfolds the tidy suburban realities of Okada's vague and blameless life, spent cooking, reading, listening to jazz and opera, and drinking beer at the kitchen table, are turned inside out. He embarks on a bizarre journey guided by a succession of characters, each with a tale to tell. Yeah, so many readers call this one of their favorite books. Not just like their favorite Murakami, but one of their favorite novels. So, very daunted by this one. It might be a little bit before I actually get to it, because I just, like, that's big if people love this book this much. Then we have The Housekeeper and the Professor by Yoko Ogawa, and this is translated by Stephen Snyder. So this one, I'll be honest, at first was not super interested in, like was lower on the list, but I've seen so many people say this is such a good book that I'm really excited. I think it's going to be awesome. This one is actually probably, it's moved up the list just by the amount of people I've seen who love it. So, because of a head injury 17 years ago, the professor only has an 80-minute memory. Although he may not remember what he had for breakfast, his mind is alive with elegant mathematical equations from the past. He devises clever math riddles based on the housekeeper's shoe size or her birthday, and the numbers reveal a sheltering and poetic world to both the housekeeper and her 10-year-old son. I've heard that the math is explained in a way that like regular people will understand it. The only thing I'm a little concerned of, I kind of have a hard time reading books with characters that feature head injuries or memory issues. It just is not something I like reading about, and I don't want to say it's like a squib or a trigger or anything, but it does make me feel very uncomfortable. Depending on how it's written, I have had to DNF books before because of how they've been written. Not like they're offensive or anything, just like it's like too overwhelming for me. So hopefully that's not the case with this one. I am really excited for it otherwise. Then we have Naomi by Junichiro Tanizaki. So I did pick this up because I am interested in it for the way Western and Eastern ideals kind of play against each other, or at least sounds like they play against each other, but it also sounds like such a very problematic, possibly, read. Or I shouldn't say that, we'll have problematic elements, so I'm going to have to watch Stabler Place. It does say it's funny though. So if that's true, that might help a little bit. When 28-year-old Joji first lays eyes upon the teenage waitress Naomi, he's instantly smitten by her exotic, almost Western appearance. Determined to transform her into the perfect wife and to whisk her away from the seamy underbelly of post-World War I Tokyo, Joji adopts and ultimately marries Naomi, paying for English and music lessons that promise to mold her into his ideal companion. But as she grows older, Joji discovers that Naomi is far from the naive girl of his fantasies. And in Tanizaki's masterpiece of lurid obsession, passion quickly descends into comically helpless masochism. I'm not super duper excited for that one. Like, I want to read it, but I'm not super excited. What I am super excited for, and what is definitely going to be my next read for, like, Japanese literature, The Makioka Sisters, also by Junichiro Tanizaki. I've heard this compared to, like, the closest Japanese literature gets to Jane Austen, so of course I'm excited to read it. Also very bulky. Also, I feel like, is there a bird on every single one of these vintage covers? Let's see. So there's like cranes there, it looks like. Obviously a bird. No bird on here. But they're crows, I think. And looks like swallows or something down there. Okay, so almost all of them have birds. I love birds. Birds are important to me. But The Makioka Sisters. This is translated by Edward G. Seidensticker. Again, did I say who translated Naomi? Anthony H. Chambers. Makioka Sisters. In the years leading up to the Second World War, 4 sisters live in dilapidated houses in Osaka and Ashiya, and each navigate their own complex personal relationship with the fading luster of the Makioka family name. I don't know, it sounds really good. Anytime anything is compared to Jane Austen, I want to read it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts, so this, this is definitely going to be the next one. I will probably do a vlog for this one because it's big. It's going to take me a while. My goal of a book every 10 days might struggle with this one. And finally, this is the only YA and only fantasy book I have on this list. I'm not super like feeling like I need to move out in the direction of YA Japanese literature. If I find something that interests me, yay. But I am really interested in finding Japanese fantasy. Not so much Japanese science fiction. I know that's like a thin line sometimes, but Japanese fantasy, because I love reading fantasy, and so reading Japanese fantasy kind of seems like natural. It fulfills my curiosity and, you know, a genre I like. So that is The Beast Player by Nahoko Uhashi, translated by Kathy Hirano. I think this is technically 2 books put together, because I think it's originally a quartet. Could be wrong, but I don't think I am. Anyway, The Beast Player, also my favorite cover of what I have here. Elin's family has an important responsibility, caring for the fearsome water serpents that form the core of their kingdom's army. So when some of the creatures mysteriously die, Elin's mother is sentenced to death as punishment. With her last breath, she manages to send her daughter to safety. Alone and far from home, Elin soon discovers that she can communicate with both the terrifying water serpents and the majestic flying beasts that guard her queen. This skill gives her great power, but it also involves her in deadly plots that could cost her life. Can she save herself and prevent her beloved beast from becoming used as tools of war, or is there no escaping the terrible battles to come? Very excited for that one. It sounds really, really good. That was my collection so far. 11 books. Not huge, not small though. Quite a nice little pile to dig into and dent. I definitely, hopefully, will be continuing to read Japanese literature intentionally for the next couple years. So expect yearly or maybe bi-yearly collection updates, because I think that's fun to watch and to film. If you liked this content and you want to see more like it, definitely consider subscribing. Everyone who is already subscribed, thank you so very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You're all so amazing. If you're somewhere cold, I hope you're staying warm. If you're somewhere warm, I hope you're staying comfortable. And most of all, I hope you're reading a great book. I will see you guys next time. Bye.